welcome to edition 87, part 1 of All Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn and Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we have a mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
Fun fact for the entire disclaimer, I was silently yawning, so if you were watching me but you couldn't hear me, it would look like I scream for the entire time that you do that. I just mute myself scream. And go, hey, welcome to All Killa No Filla.
First of all, let's start this meeting with not apologies but thank yous. Thank you to everyone who enjoyed our last episode, our bonus episode with Chris, aka Maggie Nugget.
No, I don't think they get a thank you for enjoying it.
Oh, well, all right. No, you're right, actually. That was a bit too nice for me, actually. I've
It really was. Have we switched roles?
I think so.
Is it a Freaky Friday?
That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, so...
what I was saying about Oasis was...
What I mean is, glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for getting in touch, because there's been lots of nice messages about it. Because we thought, oh, it'd be a nice thing to do that, and you're never sure. Because listen, when I listen to a podcast and then they do some spin-off, I'm like, oh, piss off, I'm not interested, and I probably won't listen. But I really enjoyed it, as did you. It was a fascinating episode, and people liked it, which is good.
Yeah, and it was difficult to know how to bill it as well, which is why I did a little intro, obviously introducing that it was something a bit different. But also, you don't want to write, like, episodes, blank, 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 Maggie Noggy, because then it looks like a drag queen has been on a killing spree, which obviously would be my dream crossover episode. I was
going to say, that's like... that'd keep you occupied for a while.
Yeah, well, there is that. Have you seen Paris is Burning?
No.
It's a brilliant documentary about the ballroom scene, which is what, like, Drag Race comes from. But
okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And there's a drag queen in that, and Dorian Corey is their drag performer, that's her name. And when they died, they found a body in their flat.
Oh.
There was basically, like, a preserved body in a trunk in their wardrobe, and they had moved house with them as well.
What?
Yeah, they've been shot in the head. So they don't know whether it was like an argument between a lover or a burglar, and just in either situation you can't call the police, especially when you're like a queer person. It's too dangerous.
Maybe they were saving it as an elaborate accessory.
Well, yeah, there's a headpiece, yeah.
That was distasteful for us, but fuck it.
Well, I was about to say all my exes aren't good looking enough to make a headpiece out of. Maybe there's two. There's two.
That's funny. Speaking of Paris, this brings us neatly to who we're doing.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's well done, Rachel. Really good.
Thank you.
It's a listener suggestion. Thank you so much. We do pay attention.
It's going to end up being a couple of parts, this, isn't it? 2 parts, possibly, because there's a lot. This is Guy Georges.
Yes, I would have said Guy George.
Yeah, well, I did as well, but then I watched a bit of the documentary about him and they kept saying Guy Georges. In fact, they kept using his name too often. It was really irritating me. You know when someone keeps using someone's name, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Guy Georges sounds like how you say Boy George in French.
Yeah, it does.
There's a music called Guy Georges. Yeah, it's an interesting one because I'll be honest, I'd never heard of him before.
No, I hadn't.
Considering it's so recent
and close. It's weird. I feel like we don't hear much about French serial killers.
No, not really.
Maybe it's because they're like just cool and don't sort of make a fuss. It's American and British ones you hear about specifically, and maybe Australian ones.
There is a documentary about Guy Georges on Netflix at the moment, and I hate to say this, it's fucking boring. And I know that sounds really awful when this is, someone committing these terrible murders, but some of it's quite interesting. But then it's like, why is everything so fucking long? Netflix, not everything is a fucking story. I don't need to know what colour someone's fucking socks were on a Wednesday in 1992. Like, it stresses me out, actually. The level of fucking... how long these documentaries are, like, I find it quite unnecessary at times.
Interesting. I think Is it not better to be slightly too long and thorough and cover everything?
Is it necessary to make these things anyway? Because I'm pretty sure that some of the victims' families were probably like, can you not?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like if everyone's in agreement, go for it. But it just, I don't know, it's just so boring. Like, I know this sounds awful, and I know we do a true crime podcast, but the amount of true crime that is out there now, the quality I find is quite poor on the whole.
There'll be people hate listening to this, laughing from their spleens at us critiquing the other coverage of true crime.
But that's fine. I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying that. It's just my personal opinion. It's not. I'm not critiquing or anything. I'm just saying this is just my personal opinion.
No, I agree. There's fucking loads of trash.
But it's like, this is how bad it's got. You know, it keeps popping up on my Netflix. Who killed little Jamie? I'm like, I couldn't give a fuck. Leave me alone. Like, it wasn't me. That's all I can tell you. Why are you questioning me now about this? I'm so bored of it. There is too much. In fact, in general, not just true crime, everything, there's too fucking much of everything, isn't there?
There is. If there was any good stuff, it would be much better. Documentaries are like my favourite genre of stuff to watch, mostly. So my partner and I were sort of flicking through Disney Plus and Netflix. Yes, things are going all right, guys. For my brother, who pays for all of them. And we went on the documentary thing. And you think, well, Disney's got to have some good documentaries. It's all like shark versus bear, who would win, like hypothetical animal fights, and really schlocky true crime.
It's bad. Like I watched one of the shark ones on the Disney Plus one. It was really bad. But there was another one I watched that was about Easter Island, and because it's obviously American, everything on it's so fucking. It's like a punch in the face. It'll start and it'll go, Easter Island. It's like, all right, I'm listening. Fucking, I'm here, I'm watching it. Stop shouting at me. It's so brash, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite full on. For what are very stimulating stories and subjects, they probably don't need so many, like, reconstructions with fire in them.
There's a documentary about sharks on fire. It's mad, isn't it?
We can't, no offence, Rachel, but we can't wank on too long because I've got to go swimming in a lake in an hour or so.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, you're like that now, aren't you?
I am. I'm having breakfast smoothies. No, only because my partner watched Queer Eye and someone on it had a smoothie and the guy went, that tastes like gingerbread. And then we both slowly looked at each other from over the sitting room, and now he makes these gingerbread smoothies and they're incredibly fit.
Wouldn't thank you for a smoothie.
I'm not into smoothies, but I think it's the gingerbread element.
When he brings one over, do you ever go, a smoothie from a smoothie?
No, I never do that. No one ever would.
Like Samantha from Sex and the City would.
Smoothie? Who says that? Because smoothie, immediately I'm like, oh, it's a naturally smooth penis.
It's because I've rewatched some of Sex and the City. Everything Samantha says is like, a smoothie from a smoothie. Do I drink this or do I fuck it? It's like, all right, we get it. You're sexually active. Anyway.
I'd have that on a t-shirt. All right, we get it. You're sexually active. It's the gingerbread that's winning it over for me.
Not a
Two of my favourite things.
Don't like ginger.
What?
Don't like it. It's I find it an offensive flavour.
No.
No, and I also don't like cinnamon. You can stick that up your ass. No thanks.
How do you get through Christmas?
Well, here's my opinion. I feel cinnamon is quite a new addition to the festive thing here. It's a very American thing, I find. And I think cinnamon has crept in, I'd say, probably because of the fucking Hallmark Christmas channel, has crept in, I'd say, in the past 15 years as a scent and flavour. I blame Starbucks as well.
Oh, for like the pumpkin spice latte job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fall thing, isn't it? Well, I think the cinnamon has always been in things like mulled wine, right? So
again, not a fan. But I tell you what, I'd love to live in a cinnamon-free world.
Well, ginger is very good. When I was having several episodes back, a massage done because my back was so bad in the fringe, and she sort of sorted my hip out. This amazing woman, and she gave me loads of tips of things to eat, and she was like, you look tired. And she was like, drink loads of water, but put ginger in it, like raw root ginger peeled, and it gives you energy. So I still do that. If there's some ginger knocking around, I whack it in my water bottle, but it has to be an opaque water bottle, because before now people have seen it, and 2 or 3 different people have said, have you put potatoes in your water? Just looking, they've mentally assessed the size of me and assumed that's a lass who can't live without potatoes for more than sort of 25 minutes.
She can't start the day without a chip water. That's so
sparkling
funny.
new potatoes.
Have you got potatoes in your water? I'll tell us very quickly. I found out recently I did an allergy test, because obviously shellfish I'm not too good with, and I don't eat it anyway. Fish on the sea, it's not for me. But I thought I'm going to do this allergy test to find out exactly what I can eat, because I'm missing out on stuff. You know, like, I want to know if I can eat stuff with a bit of fish in it. Do you get me? Anyway.
Yeah, like fish sauce in it or whatever.
Exactly. Did this allergy test, and he passed out doing a fucking pinprick on my finger. Sent it off. Comes back. Turns out I'm more fucking allergic to potatoes than I am to fucking anything else in the world.
And what, have you sort of like built up your tolerance from having chips from a baby?
Well, I must have done. I used to have potato waffles for breakfast every fucking day, didn't I? I mean,
maybe.
Honestly,
do allergies make you irritable?
Oh, fuck, is this what it is? Is this all potato? Oh, no.
It's just the potatoes talking.
My life would be over. If someone said, you can't drink tea and you can't eat potatoes, I'd be like, right, I'd just walk off a cliff. What pleasures do I have left?
This podcast.
Yes, right. Anyway, the Beast of the Bastille.
Yeah, great nickname.
We're going to call him Guy, because I feel embarrassed saying Guy. So, the Beast of the Bastille. He was born Guy Rampillion on the 15th of October, 1960.
Oh, you'll put a French accent on a Rampillion, but you won't say Guy.
Did I put a French accent on?
Yeah, you went, Guy Rampillion.
I did not.
You did. You definitely had a French accent on it. You're going to listen to that back and you're going to cringe.
Anyway, he was born on the 15th of October 1962 in Angers, in France.
Like you, born in Angers.
That was me. Don't look back in anger, constantly am. I'm looking forward in anger. His mother was French. His father was a black American soldier who worked on the NATO bases as a cook. He was called George Cartwright. His father abandoned him very early on after he was born. And his mother's family were quite embarrassed by the situation. Her being a single mother, possibly him being mixed race.
It was definitely a race thing, which is why we mentioned his dad's race. So his mum, Helene, was from a military family. Her dad was an NCO. So at first, she basically fell in love again with another fella when Guy was about 6. She met a US soldier, wanted to marry him and moved to California. And up until the age of 6, anyway, he was bounced around different people. So she moves to California and she takes her other son, Stefan, who's 3 years older than Guy. But the crucial difference is he was white. And her family, when he was growing up and she was sort of like needed somewhere for the kids to stay, they fostered Stefan, but they refused to have Guy, which can only be a race thing. So this poor kid is sort of pushed around. His biological family don't really want him, but they do want his brother. It's really sad. So basically the state agrees to take care of Guy, but they do it on a condition. They say, we will find him a new home, but he's got to have a new birth certificate with false details so he can't find out about his biological family. Now, this is a fucking mad system and not sort of opposite to what you have in place now, in that they encourage you not to change names and things like that. But apparently it was used for decades, and right up until 1996 when it was banned, because they realised that it denies people a basic right to know who they are and where they're from. So before that, the received wisdom was like, they shouldn't know their families, and that will only take them if we kind of like get rid of any trace of who they are biologically. Isn't that fucking insane?
Wow.
It's so painful as well, like having a false birth certificate, and then you might be told or you might not be, but if you you discover it or are told, then having no way of finding out where you're from. I mean, that's not always a healthy thing anyway, and not always possible, but...
No, but it's a human right, isn't it? I mean, I guess that the French, let me say, that in this, as we'll get to it a bit later on, talking about perceived freedoms, and that's against my freedoms. I mean, they're quite happy to just cut people off from being able to find things out about themselves. It's funny what their level of, at this time, freedom stretches to, isn't it?
Yeah, one of my favourite things about, well, not at the time, but it was my mum wouldn't buy French apples. So my mum, you can always tell her politics by how she shops in like really sort of pathetic ways. So yeah, she wouldn't buy anything from France because when my parents were farmers, Jacques Chirac said the only thing British farming has given us is the insane cow about mad cow disease. And my mum was obviously furious because mad cow disease was fucking horrible for British farming. It wasn't that wild, absolutely wild, what happened with mad cow disease.
Yeah, they stopped serving beef in schools, didn't they, and stuff, and... Yeah,
because basically what was happening is that they were just putting brains in stuff, and that can cause CJD, is my understanding of it.
Yes, the cows were eating...
Their own brains.
Their own brains, like some fucking Viking warrior.
Yes. Well, yeah, because I got that book on cannibalism, and there are groups of people, or historically groups of people, who, when an elder died, they would eat their brain to sort of absorb their knowledge, and yeah, they were getting that. They were getting CJD.
Mad, innit? Speaking of shopping, when I was a child, we would never buy South African produce because of apartheid.
Oh, wow.
So that was...
Well, I think she was fine with that. It was just a dance. Thumbs up for apartheid.
Oh, dear. Political shopping.
Political shopping with Kiri's mum.
I bought some apples yesterday. What the fuck is going on? This is so boring, but I was shocked at the price of these apples. Pink lady apples, which I do like.
They're dear, though. They're like £8 a pop.
Oh, my God. Well, I didn't realise, did I? I went to the counter. £3.5 for 6 apples. You can put them bloody back. No, thank you.
Pink ladies, man. They're the expensive ones.
I didn't realise.
Just have a Granny Smith and be done with it, or a Braben.
I like those red delicious ones. They're nice.
Oh, the one... Really? No, I don't like... I like the aesthetic because I feel like I'm in Snow White.
Yeah.
But I don't like the taste. I think the taste is nothing.
Anyway.
Oh my God, we're reviewing apples. Absolutely kill me. This is what happens when we do the fucking podcast at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You have to go for a swim, and I've got a project this Sunday, haven't I?
What's your project?
Well, we saw a Facebook status that needs more digging.
Oh, yeah.
That's my project for this Sunday morning. Hey, listen, I've been busy all week. This is my time.
A bit of me time.
I expect some screenshots, that's all I'm saying.
Digging into a vague book status.
I have to think if I ever went missing. I think the way that I'd be... People would go, hang on a minute, where is she? I've not had one bitchy screenshot today. Something's wrong.
She hasn't texted me saying, can I be awful? So he moves in with a foster mum, Jean-Marine, and he really loved it there. It was quite authoritarian. It was very Catholic, and she fostered loads of kids. She had 12 kids, right?
Yeah. I always think
is a lot.
That is a lot. I was thinking, when people have these big families, you have these documentaries like, 25 kids and counting, or whatever. I always think, God, that family, there must be some kid in the middle that nobody really knows.
Oh, definitely. But I also think that you get to a certain size and you go, they're going to start taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
So my incredibly charismatic builder, have I talked about him before?
Yes, you've mentioned him.
Yeah, who for the first sort of 6 months couldn't understand anything my partner was saying. He'd yell, "What?" every time my partner spoke. So he's very Irish and he's fucking brilliant, and I love him, and he'll probably be invited to my partner and I's wedding. And you're on the maybe list, Rachel.
Good to know.
He's one of 11, and all bar one are twins.
Wow.
And he was telling us about it one day, which is fucking mad. He's like, I'm one of 11, so I am. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And Juan isn't a twin, and the rest of us are twins. Because the reason he came over here is his twin brother was living here and broke up with a girl. So he came over to have some nights out with him, and that was 11 years ago.
I never left.
Never
left.
Night out. Yeah, good night out, exactly. I just punched my laptop then with enthusiasm. So I was like, that's fucking loads of twins. He was like, we're in the Guinness Book of Records until a family from Cork kicked it out in 1986.
Really?
And, yeah, and he was saying that, he was like, we'd always be in the newspaper for how much bread we ate. So the local, like, shit little newspaper would be like, massive twins eat loads of bread, and then they'd have sort of like a jolly picture of them all and how much bread and milk they get through in a week. He sort of said that you just sort of crack on, and your eldest... There's always a massive age span as well. So you'll have, like, the eldest will be 30 and the youngest will be 6.
It's similar to my parents. So my dad is one of 10, and he had sort of a couple of adopted brothers as well. My dad had, like... Because he's the youngest, and my mum's the youngest of 6... They had, like, older siblings. So my mum is the youngest, and my Auntie Trish is her oldest sister. So when... My brilliant Auntie Trish, my favourite auntie. When my mum was born, my Auntie Trish was, like, 19.
Oh, my God, I fucking buzz off that. In school, when you'd have, like, 11-year-old uncles...
Yeah, that was my mum. My mum was like a 3-year-old auntie.
I love that. I love that. It's so funny. It absolutely used to fuck my head. I can never understand it. And it's quite common in our school.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's something that you see that often anymore.
Yeah, because people tend to have children a bit closer together and fewer children. But yeah, I absolutely love that kid who'd be like, yeah, I'm an uncle to 2 kids. And you're like, you haven't done your SATs? What you on about?
This is my uncle. This is my 7-year-old uncle. Oh, it's funny. He said that he was quite happy. You know, his foster family, his adopted, they were quite fond of him, and he felt grateful for that. But when he was 14, he had a disabled sister called Rosalind, and he tried to strangle her. Which, wasn't helpful.
It was the idea that he had attacked a particularly vulnerable member of the family.
Yes.
About this time as well, sort of pre-adolescence, he starts stealing from the family, he'd steal food from the pantry. That kind of behaviour isn't massively out of character for someone, in particular who's grown up in the care system where there's, like, food scarcity. That sometimes they'll, like, steal and hoard food because they don't know when it's coming next. And that's quite a hard habit to break. But he also gets a hunting knife about that time and starts to kill animals in the sort of woods around the village, because Angus is sort of surrounded by much more rural climes, and he's there sort of like just out and about causing mischief, but also with a knife.
He also enjoyed the hunting aspect of... He loved following the animal, didn't he? That was the thing that he got a kick out of.
Yeah.
Following.
Yeah.
2 years after he'd attacked his sister Rosalind, he attacked his other sister Christiane with a metal bar. And this is the point where the Morins go, I don't think we can have this boy in the house anymore because he seems to be dangerous. And unfortunately, they had to make the decision to give him back to the authorities, which must have been horrible. I mean... Yeah, he's acting up here, and he can't have around the other kids, but that must be such a horrible... Be rejected all these times, and then, like, back in the care system. It's horrible, isn't it?
They were sort of at pains to say, well, they weren't sexual attacks. Like, it meant it was okay, but I think strangling a disabled young child...
And hitting your sister with a metal bar.
Yeah, both of whom are your sisters, is... indicative of some bigger problems going on.
Yeah, because he's not attacking the lads, is he? It's not rough and tumble.
And it's only shortly after that final attack and being removed from his foster home, which is obviously a big disruption to him, that he ends up in jail for his first sort of crime. And it's a violent one as well, isn't it?
Yeah. He also attacked, when he was placed back in care in 1979, he also attacked a girl, but she managed to escape from him. He started to get very depressed about all the rejection in his life, and he started drinking. In May 1980, he attacked another girl and he stabbed her in the face, and this led to him serving 1 year in prison in Paris. 1 year in prison doesn't seem a lot for that kind of thing.
No, because also he was stealing her handbag, she fought back, and then he slashed her face with a knife. That's what happened. absolutely wild that he would get... Part of me thinks he's had that for stealing a handbag.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. The attack with the knife was secondary.
Yeah. Yeah.
He started to live in the artistic communities in Paris. So these were sort of squats that artistic people were living in. I imagine if we had them here, they'd be full of posh kids.
Yeah, they fucking
Artistic
would.
squats with the creative communities. He started drinking a lot and sort of befriending these sort of, you know, free and easy people. It said in one of the things I read, it said he started to befriend left-wing youngsters.
Like he's in sixth form.
Yeah.
But he was very popular on the squat scene, apparently. Very well liked.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it's because the only one who wasn't a massive asshole. I was like, actually, I'm an artist.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything worse, can you?
A squat in Paris in the 70s would have been full of the worst people.
I mean, can you imagine this now? Can you imagine certain houses when we go and do the Edinburgh Fringe? There's about 5 people I can think off the top of my head that I would hate to be sharing a house with.
Well, they're the people as well that like are from incredibly wealthy families and do those guardianship schemes. So they like live in a, you know, like asylum for free.
Oh my God, don't. I honestly think in comedy, if you're from a wealthy family and that's the reason you get to be a full-time comedian, you should have to declare it. I think you should have to tell everybody.
Well, you can tell. Like, you can tell.
Funded.
Like, yeah, how are you living in London and able to feed yourself? And I know that no one pays you for a gig, and yet you've been doing it for like 15 years.
Oh, God. Anyway, let's not get me angry on a Sunday. On God's day.
Yeah. Now, in the following 18 years from sort of leaving his foster family, he was in prison for half of it. Now, they started to escalate, so it's for sexual assaults. And the genuine thing is he got a real joy from hunting people. Mm-hmm. And it was the sort of like stalking of the women beforehand that really appealed to him. They think, the psychiatrist went on to say that they think it was because he was suffering from disaffiliation, in that he had basically no family, no one who wanted to take care of him, no one who stuck around. So he was just sort of this unattached person with kind of no stake in society. He used to write to his girlfriend about this time in prison, and he would talk about how much he loved tigers. He absolutely buzzed off tigers, like he owns a gym in the 90s. He'd talk about how much he admired it, and he would say, well, they're intelligent, they're powerful, they're resistant animals, they're careful and adaptable. And he was like modelling himself on a tiger. Fucking hell.
He had a tattoo of one on his chest, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. Well, he says it came from like a big moment in his childhood that when he was little, his foster family took him to, like, I'd say it's a zoo, but it doesn't feel like you'd be allowed this. As a child, he says he climbed in a cage with a tiger and yawned and caressed it. And he said it showed no hostility to me. They basically think that mentally he's put loads of emphasis on this occasion as a child, and then thought he is sort of a tiger and has a link to them, which is why he's sort of like, you know, into the stalking of them and admires how they hunt.
I mean, we all like tigers.
Yeah, it's also
you show me a person that goes, nah, I don't like them. If you don't like tigers, there's something up with you. I mean...
Yeah, because there's also a big breadth of them as well, isn't there? In that there's like, you know, the white ones, the one off the Frosty box, the one from Winnie the Pooh. There's a tiger for everyone.
Did you read about the tigress, the female tiger at London Zoo? That they introduced a male and she killed it.
What a fucking legend.
Apparently they're like, oh, you know, let's get this mating programme going. And they introduced a male tiger and she fucking killed him.
It's nice to hear of it the other way around, isn't it?
It is,
you know, with the statistics that come out.
That tiger is a feminist icon.
Oh, fucking hell.
That's the comment that's going to get me killed on this podcast. That's the one.
No, it'll be something innocuous about football.
So a month after his 19th birthday, this is when he committed his first rape that we know of, because I think he probably did stuff before this.
Yes.
His neighbour, Natalie, was returning home and he attacked her. Now, he served just 5 months in prison for this.
Fuck me. 5 months for a rape is unbelievably poor.
Isn't it?
It's just fucking... Because like, even with lots of help and, you know, support and medical assistance in terms of counselling and things, she's not going to be over that in 5 months. It's not like a shitty breakup. It's forever. It takes me longer to grow out a bad haircut than that.
This is a crime. This is a man with previous, and this is a man that's crimes are escalating. You would think that it's time for, like, hang on a minute, this guy's an absolute danger.
Yeah.
Because then on the 7th of June, 1982, there was a young woman, Violet K, she was known as. I assume that's for anonymity. She was in a car park and he attacked her, he raped, stabbed and strangled her, but she escaped. He got 18 months then in prison.
Fucking hell.
Again, these are crimes that you should be getting decades in prison for.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, God, that's really awful.
And he did it again in February 1984, which led him to being arrested. But this leads up to the first murder, of which will be Ep 2, I imagine.
Yeah, we're going to do 2 shorter eps rather than one, like, massive, long one, where you can hear our blood sugar dropping over the course of the episode.
Yeah. We're recording this quite early as well, aren't we?
We are, yeah, pre 9 a.m. I've obviously had my potato water, so I'm feeling fit as a fiddle. Yeah, so that is Guy Georges Part 1. We'll return with Part 2. To reiterate what Rachel Fairburn said, thank you so much for your lovely messages about the episode with Chris/Maggie. We are really glad so many of you enjoyed the craze over Christmas as well. We hope that all those little extra episodes kept you busy over what might have been a shit time for some of you. I think for lots of us because of all fucking Omicron. Yeah, and, well, we'll bang out this as the second part very quickly. We've got nothing to mention. Oh, I'm on tour.
Yeah.
I'm on tour. It starts really soon. It starts at the start of February.
Woo.
Quite a lot of dates are sold out. Quite a lot of dates are on the cusp of selling out with like less than 20 tickets. So if you did want to come and see me, please book that soon. And also I have another podcast called Who You Wearing, where I chat to various stylish people that I know and or are friends with about their style. And Rachel obviously is never allowed to come on it.
Never. Been banned from it, actually.
Banned, yeah. They said, we'll produce it, but Rachel can't go on it.
It's weird, because I had to sign a contract about that. Sent to my agent from yours. Fucking weird, that.
Did you?
No.
Oh, I genuinely thought, I was like, oh, are they contracting people?
No, I was going to say, they sent, in the same office, they sent the contract to my agent from your agent that said, Rachel has to say that she will never appear on a fashion podcast.
Did I tell you that I sent Susie Ruffles? She put up a picture. Susie's done it. It's a brilliant episode. It's stacked up, waiting to go out. She's put a picture up of her Crocs on. I tell you this on Instagram, and I just sent a message and went, "Hey Susie, I hope everything's okay." Oh, it's a bit of a weird one. Basically, someone has seen on your social media that you put a pair of Crocs up, so your episode of Who You're Wearing, we can't really put out anymore for obvious reasons.
That's really
and I just wanted to get in touch. And yeah, obviously it's very awkward and you'll still get paid and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to check in. If you've got any questions, just give me a shout. Okay, love, speak to you soon, bye. And I did exactly like that. And then she was sort of like joking. And then there was like a few more messages and she was like, is this serious though? And I was like, no, obviously not. I'm not.
Don't. Yeah, this is all very funny, but is this true? And I feel slightly hurt.
I know. I was like, oh my God, can I act? And so I'm going to go and put that little WhatsApp voice note on my, I'm going to get a spotlight show reel and I'm going to whack it on that.
I think you should do. I have, the only thing I have to say is if you want to come and see my extra shows of Maniac in Edinburgh and Glasgow, which are in February, please do. These have been rescheduled about 3 times because of the old COVID.
The old vid. Oh, speaking of rescheduled, we're doing an LGBT fundraiser in Pontiac in Bangor in North Wales. It was meant to happen yesterday on the day of recording, which is January 15th. It's now been moved to July 2nd because we had to restrict the capacity to 70 people, which obviously we're not going to do. We're going to pack it out to 430 and raise loads of money. And if you want to see myself and Maggie and Oggy on the same stage, that is a place that you can go and do it. Tickets are on sale on the Pontiac website.
Lovely.
That's it, innit? That's our QVC section over.
That's done, yeah.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that neck burp at the end?
No.
Thank fuck for that. It was like,
Oh, God. What time are you swimming?
I'm swimming and I'm going to set off in about 40 minutes.
Lovely, that'll be nice, won't it?
Yeah, I'm going in a lake at the foot of Snowdon.
Oh, rather you than me. I will stay on dry land, thank you very much.
Enjoy it.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks, bye.